Morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's edition of the NBC Markets Morning Call. Welcome, Phil. Good morning, mate.
Morning, Mark. Morning, everyone.
Look, stocks drifted higher overnight on, Tame, CPI print, still printing 3.4% year on year at the moment, which in no one's terms is deflationary, I wouldn't have thought. But it was the slowest pace since March 2021. I don't know whether that's more a sign of a systemic problem with inflation or because the core of being 2.5 year on year is still not good. We did have a bond auction last night, 10-year Treasury auction at 4.683, which was the highest yield the US has had to pay for Treasury debt since 2007.
Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah. So, look,
they're not well accepted, the auctions, are they?
No. Look, realistically, would you buy US Treasuries? Everyone's going on about that. I think that's why gold's heading higher as well.
Yeah.
But look, Phil, yesterday, you want to cover what happened on the ASX?
The big move yesterday, obviously CBA came out.
Yep.
And once again, the banks proved that they're soft and basically brought the whole market down. So once again, the banking sector's been proven to be weak based on the housing market. And today we're seeing ANZ being released, and that'll be interesting to see. And what else happened? We had SEEK was reported yesterday. That was very soft. It was crushed on 27 guidance.
I had a write down from some VC thing.
They're getting involved in the VC where they should stick to their core business, which is stupid things. One of those things where they branch out and stick to what you know and don't change it.
Yeah, play the hits.
Yeah, exactly. What else? AGL was good. BVS was a standout. One of the software standouts. It's been quite an interesting stock to watch. And basically, so the futures are pointing towards a 24-point negative open. The Aussie dollar's up 0.4. Copper's down 0.3%. Iron ore up 1%. Gold up 1%. What else? So reporting today, we have.
Well, we'll get up to that in a little bit. But but just here now, we got the. So ASX was down yesterday, mainly weighed down by the banks. Nikkei just kind of does the same thing. Nasdaq was up slightly. Dow was down slightly. Overall, but what really helped that US market overnight, you saw Meta head lower, Microsoft head lower as well, but the SOX was back, the bottom left-hand corner there, or the left-hand side of the heat map. Nvidia up, Cisco up. I do believe Cisco may have reported earnings after the bell. I'm not entirely sure. Just very quickly, let me get that up. So it was up 3% leading in, down 4% in the after hours. But that CoreWeave result yesterday was very well received. We released a recommendation yesterday on Nebius, which is the CoreWeave it's a Dutch company, CoreWeave of Europe. And the way their regulations are is that they've got to be based in Europe. The data can't leave. OpenAI got into a fair bit of trouble for that at a presentation. But they reported a 500% quarterly increase in revenue, and rallied 30%. And we've also got iron, which is another favourite, which was sort of part of the recommendation. It was up around about 10% as well. But look, we've got some forward PEs here at the moment. It was an interesting little chart from Reuters last night, and the forward PE in the S&P is actually trending a little bit lower, but. Just to give some context, the chart on the left-hand side there, if you remove the wins from Anthropic, OpenAI, and SpaceX, which Google's I think got maybe a piece of all three, Amazon's got a piece of at least two. If you take those out, the trailing PE is less like 22 and more like 27, 28.
Yeah, great.
So they are earnings, but they're not growth-driven earnings necessarily. They're just they're obviously just earnings based on capital wins. And there was talk last night as well around OpenAI. There could be issues with them pushing their IPO to the end of next year because they need the capital to actually meet their commitments on the financial side.
Bit of a concern.
Yeah. But I think Oracle bounced back pretty hard last night. That stock's been so volatile lately. And then Applied Materials, Lam Research, GEV, in the middle there, just below Amazon, they're kind of part of that SOX index, that chip sector thing there. But yeah, CoreWeave and Nebius both just ripped higher. CoreWeave jumped 19. Nebius was up 34% at one stage. Backlogs for CoreWeave lifted to 104 billion, and they secured a further 25 billion in new commitments. And Nebius is pretty similar. And as you can sort of see here, Applied Digital and Iron here, they'll report later in the Iron particularly reports in about 30 days, but Australian, it used to be called Iris Energy, but an Australian-based company that started in Bitcoin mining, but does data center and on renewables, full end-to-end from power solution all the way to data center as a service. So we can kind of see these things. This Nebius was spun out of Yandex, which was Russian. Can't imagine why they spun that out. Because it might have something to do with the Ukraine and not being able to be dealt with. But look, all these companies have got massive backlogs. They're charging, I think they've got sort of gross margins of 80 to 90%, but like they're just smashing it. So pretty good setups in those, and I think it's kind of like that memory stock, that memory chip stock stuff. Obviously, we've still got Micron and SK Hynix at really single-digit PEs. Forward PEs, but I think this could be, based on the comments from how much money Elon's making with those Colossus data centers from Anthropic. I think it's something like $2 billion a month or something stupid, and then Zuckerberg's comments around basically he's very tempted to rent out his compute despite needing it. I mean, if people are paying that much, but. But Phil, ASX today, we've actually got the ASX.
There you go. Yep.
So look, for ASX shareholders, I'm just going to apologise. It's been a rough run, and I don't really foresee it being any better. But some of the old favourites there today. Anything catch your eye, Phil?
Mark, probably the Treasury wine estates. We've sort of seen that bounce from that sort of $5 level. I think it was up last trade about $5.64. So that's interesting. So
yeah, they've had one of the biggest wine or vineyard owners in the world has been buying small clips of stock.
Yeah.
Like nothing to not enough for takeover bid, but you got to remember Treasury wines, that Dow wines they bought. I mean, it was 1.6 billion, and it was huge that acquisition in the US, but. Yeah. I mean, the economy's going pretty well over there. It's the biggest market share of any bottles between $30 to $100 in the US. Yeah. And obviously they've got Penfolds and things like that. Yeah. So Telstra, that'll be a cure for insomnia.
Yeah, Transurban.
Transurban, same deal. I mean, Transurban can't, I literally did Google Maps the other day and went without tolls. It was 3 minutes difference. To get from my house to here, but $27 in tolls difference.
I was going to say the cost,
So Origin
could actually be interesting. So they've got that new Kraken that's sort of involved.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's some sort of. I think it's involved something to do with the data centers or something. And so
okay. Well, look, anything involved in data centers. I mean, it's going to be
double check the Kraken. But it's something, and that's sort of had a bit of a run from about $10.50 up to sort of 11 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've got we're just reading very quickly. Origin Energy posts $1.7 billion energy market EBITDA. Don't know what the expectation was there. Transurban profit doubles, doesn't surprise me. We've got inflation, and ANZ mortgage applications slumped 12%. But I think they announced $1 billion buyback, which is a bit rare for Aussie banks. Normally they just like to pay out the dividend, but maybe they think they're cheap. And then Aurora, Amcor's reported today as well. Apparently, cardboard boxes, packaging. Yeah. I mean, again, if you need to go to sleep tonight, maybe read that on your report. Yeah. Gold and silver continued to head higher. Yeah. Crude had a bit of a breather. Copper, copper's had pretty good price action. It's probably the only time this chart's shown that copper down with the rest of them coming back. But I mean, coal was flat, lithium was up a little bit, uranium So a bit of a nothing burger night. I mean, let's face it. I'm surprised the US dollar was up, considering that horrendous Treasury yield thing. But we've got PPI tomorrow, PPI tonight. That'll feed into PCE, which is the Fed's preferred gauge. We've got a 30-year Treasury auction of 25 billion expected at the highest refinancing rate in 25 years as well. Fed speakers, no one of any, Barkin and Hammock. I don't even know who Hammock is. And Jackson Hole Symposium towards the end of the month. So, that could be pretty interesting as well. But I think obviously yesterday's CPU sold off a little bit, which I'm a bit surprised about, considering those high yields. But I think we are getting extraordinarily close to that $40 trillion mark for US debt. You can actually go to usdebtclock.org. We're currently at 39,853 billion, so we should be there within the next few weeks, I'd say. So that'll probably make a fairly large headline overall. Trump's talking more capital gains tax relief. So basically now you whatever inflation is, you add to your initial cost. I don't know how they're going to solve any of this, but
it's a bit different than here, is it?
Yeah, the general consensus is now that basically they are printing money in the States. They're just going to inflate their way out of trouble, which is not good for not good for the middle class, not good for the lower class. So
do they even have a middle class anymore?
No, I don't know. I think they've just got the lower and the upper.
Yeah, it's the case.
But look, you elect a megalomaniac billionaire, and you expect what policy you're going to get. For those of you who don't watch our podcasts and things, you should, because they're very good, even if I do say so myself. We sort of focused on AI and SaaS bounce last week. Quite a few of those webinars we did back in March, and the prevailing structured products. I think we've taken off the cybersecurity one for 450%. We're currently up 100% on the healthcare software one as well. That there was some pretty good intel at the time when everyone else was running around like Chicken Little saying the sky was falling. We were pretty focused on getting that. Let's face it, Kai was pretty focused on that. But we got
shout out to Kai.
Shout out to Kai.
But he's in the office now.
But and currently looking at that critical minerals again as well. So we're probably going to have a strategy out in the critical minerals over the next few days. And we'll probably maybe have I think this week on the podcast, we might, because Iran sucked up so much airtime lately, I think we might just go through, there was a lot of thematics towards the end of last year, like AI, robotics and automation, of this critical minerals or strategic minerals thing. It's all been forgotten, and they've all been absolutely belted. So, it'd be just we might just go back and go through a few of the forgotten themes of 2026, which are starting to make a little bit of a comeback. Because when's the last time you heard rare earths?
Exactly.
He was just throwing money at those guys, and they do have to release a further 300 million or something in extra subsidies and things to those guys sometime in September. So they won't be doing it in the next 5 weeks because they're on leave for the midterm elections. Congress is wrapped up. They're going to avoid that that shutdown. They did a temporary thing. If you want to have a look at the calendar, NBCinvest.co/ASX earnings, or you just go to the homepage, click through on that. You get all the earnings updates. It's been pretty accurate so far, actually, which is pretty rare for ASX calendar. And for those of you looking for income, we've obviously got our income series. It's on fixed coupon notes. A very own Phil DeLockery's, and used to be an investor, now works here. But
love the company so much.
Just like you enjoy it. But and if you want a free trial of Mosaic, considering obviously that Nebius recommendation and our hit rate on the global alpha recommendations lately. Just fill out the contact us form. We'll give you a free month of platinum worth about $300, and you can get the recommendations leading into the tail end of earnings season and get some of this stuff, firsthand, before everyone else. So, but I think that pretty much wraps it up for today.
Yep.
It'd probably be a relatively quiet day.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
No worries, guys. We'll
Okay.
catch you again tomorrow morning.
Have a great day. Thank
Cheers.
you. See ya. Bye.